good example, right? So the machine will give you warning that that's all right by using some other way to give you warning. So the message means probably give you warning when you touch something, it's harmful. It give you some alarm like that, all right? Or you wanted to open the door when the washing machine is working, right? You cannot do that. It's working, all right? So that a message, obviously not just a message, all right? Just something prohibit you from doing it, all right? The washing machine is running, you cannot open the door, all right? It's working. It's when you do that, so something that's working, all right? That's about the safety, all right? Related to the safety, you cannot unplug something. Like you plug it, unplug. When you wanted to unplug something that is impossible, what make it impossible, Otherwise, you unplug it, they will harm, I think so. It's quite useful, for the working, right? Usually for confidential, right, or security consideration. Okay, so it's very very important, right? So I want to give you a good example, right? So you can think lots of example, right? Situation where you use working, right? And synchronous. So we need to wait, right, until we got a reply. Oh, then we can do the next. So what's the problems of synchronous? What's the problems of synchronous and how can we solve that? Okay, Rain?
Maybe we'll wait a long time
Good. Then how can we solve that?
and user timeout.
Oh, good. Pretty good. Yes, clever, right? So, yeah, synchronous, you gotta wait. Probably it's a long time. You cannot, keep waiting, So, timeouts. Use a timeout design like that. All right. So, timeout, you gotta set a time like 3 seconds or whatever. You set timeout. So, here, not just use this because you gotta set a time, all right? Just like no, so it's just a timeout, all right? So a lot of situation we need that, right? Like, enter your password, right? You would not wait for long, so let's use timeout. And then after that, then you cannot do that again, all right? So it's also, as a security consideration, right? Timeout. It's an exact time, all right? So it's quite interesting, for all the that, right? You got to practice this because, midterm examinations will come, all right? So definitely, it's going to miss this kind of question, all right? Well, I gotta keep going, But if you wanted to go to a restroom or take a rest, whatever, no, it doesn't matter. But I'm going to keep going for next. And I said that our output more, focused on sequence diagram, right? Because for a communication diagram, that that is easier, easier to convert it from sequence diagram, right? So if you use a case tool, right, they provide this function, right? You can convert it directly from sequence to communication diagram, but they have different purposes, right? Sequence diagram is often used, so we can see that most of the time sequence diagram, but not communication diagram. But still need to know that we have a kinds of diagram, right? The diagram is a communication diagram that help us understand the message sense, right? Communication between the object, all right? If you wanted to see that, right, then communication diagram can provide you the picture, right? So from a communication diagram, we just saw there the message, right? But usually, something, something could be different between sequence and communication diagram. These two diagrams, they have different focus. For a sequence diagram, we can see the sequence from left to right, top to bottom, right, sequence. But communication diagram is not like that, right? We said that communication diagram is also called what? What can you see? Communication diagram has other name. A name. Communication diagram. What's that? Honking. Louder, please.
Interaction diagram.
Say it again.
Interaction.
Interaction. We don't say it's interaction diagram.
Oh.
Very similar. What? Start from C. The same C.
Sorry. I don't know.
Remember CRC color?
Yeah.
What's CRC?
CRC.
The second C. What is the second C? Okay, Alex.
Thing is collaboration.
Okay, good. Collaboration, right? So you can see that communication diagram also called, right? So also called a collaboration diagram, right? So they are the same. Okay, there's a difference. So, Alex, what can we see in the sequence diagram, but not the collaboration or communication diagram?
I think it's lifeline.
Like what?
Lifeline.
Lifeline. Yeah, we cannot see lifelines in a communication diagram. And what else?
Execution occurrence.
Yeah, and what else? Execution occurrence or focus of control, right? We cannot see that. And what else? Tell me that you know that's something we can see that from the sequence diagram, but not in the communication diagram. That is that we cannot see focus of control, lifeline, right? Currents. Oh. What we cannot see in the communication diagram. So raise your hand. Communication diagram. Can we set a number? Because sequence diagram, left to right, top to bottom, right? We know the sequence, the order is easy to understand that. Communication diagram, because it's not left to right and top to bottom, right? Can we set a number to help us understand the order? Okay, Harry?
Sequencing diagram can see the logic flow about the you want to present. The communication cannot.
Can we set a number?
No.
We cannot set a number. So we only guess.
Only gets the message of the object and object.
Okay. Can we set the number in the sequence diagram?
Yeah.
So sequence diagram is easy to know
To
the
know
order.
about
The order, and we still can set the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Number. Communication, we cannot set the number.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
No. Sorry for that. Right. So communication diagram, since communication diagram is not that easy to know their sequence, by their order, we can set number, right? So if you have a case tour and you check numbering, then it's going to, you have a number 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So we can set the number. So it is not that difference between these two diagrams. So Henry, can you think of anything that you can see it's in a sequence diagram but not communication diagram?
并行处理的
Carol,
同步
processing.
yes yeah
Shane?
How about timeout? You can see the timeout in the communication diagram.
Time out?
Timeout, yes.
Okay, so don't have time out. The sequence diagram, we have the message, right? Message, and we set, no, we can set that in the communication diagram. What do you think about the loop? Loop. Can we set the loop in the communication diagram?
I think loop maybe is accessible or it can. I
It
think
can or
it's can.
cannot?
I think maybe it can.
Can.
It can.
Yeah, it can. Okay, so time. Right, frequency, fine. But something we cannot see. Why would be that? Is it very difficult? Tell them. Yeah. Return. No return message. Okay. No return. So communication diagram. No return. All right. Because return is not that important usually, right? I said that's return, right? So communication diagram wanted to understand, the message, right? So the number of the messages sent. We don't need to add a return because almost everything got a return, right? So from the message sent, we understand that some object is busier than others. So it's a communication diagram. And also, I gave you the comparison, right? You can see that by yourself. There. See. Okay, and the sequence diagram, also there could be a generalized, a general specialization, right? Could be that. So, what's that? Let's see, do we have that? Oh, wait a minute, before we go. So we just talk about this, right? So here, semi, yeah. I skip this. So they have the inheritance transaction. We have recharge form color, which were the cache, right? Inheritance, and that's. And here we said that we have option, right? This option is a withdraw, right? Withdraw money, withdraw cash. And here we have another option, right? Recharge phone call. Refer to this use case diagram. What's wrong? Something wrong, then raise your hand. left hand side. Okay, that would be Jeffrey.
就是它是先哦开头哦，这好像是对的呢。
What's wrong with this diagram?
哦，那个哦对吧？就是左边有错。
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Okay.
So we can see, sequence diagram and our use case diagram. So based on the sequence diagram, and we refer to use case diagram, there's something wrong.
哦，
But okay, but
那个 use case diagram 的那个 include 要改成 extend。
oh, pretty good, right? It should be extend, right? It is not a must, right? So we have option. I said that's option, right? So here option reference, right? Reference visual cache. This is a use case, all right? So here, even we draw this sequence diagram refer to visual cache sequence diagram. Here, recharge form cards option, this or this. So here it says the included use case can be either. No, not either, right? It is an option, right? It is an optional choice, right? So it's not either. Intend to fool you, right? So here, no, it's not either, right? It's an option. This is not correct, right? So like we write the use case description, execute, right? Withdraw, recharge, form card. And so on. Generalization, specialization, right? So generalized sequence diagram, specialization, right? So a difference between these two. The difference. Okay, it's at Ethan.
Generalization is like the whole system's sequence, but specialization is just a part of the systems.
Okay, all right. So if it's a generalized sequence diagram, I'll give you the whole picture, right? The whole picture includes the parts, right? A couple parts. So for each parts, we detail them, right? It's a specialization sequence, right? So a specialization sequence. So here we know that we have visual cache and recharge form card, right? So this one is a specialized one, and we have two specializations, right? So one is visual cache, and the other, is recharge form card, right? So it's a generalization specialization. Let's get rid of that. And so it's communication diagram, and here give you the comparisons of that. Well, we'll go to state machine. State machine is also called a name. What would be the name of the alias of state machine? Okay, Harry?
Behavior.
No. Behavior. No. Behavior is the broader one, right? It could be communication diagram, sequence diagram. That's behavior. No. A state machine. When you say behavior, you will not think, oh, that is state machine. No. But state machine is a kind of behavior, right? That's. So state machine, also called, what would be the name of state machine? Name of state machine. State machine is also called state chart, right? So when you see the name state chart, they are the same, right? State chart, C-H-A-R-T, so state chart or state machine, they are the same. State machine is going to describe a single object. This single object could be a physical machine, a single object, or that is a class, right? It's a class name. It's class name. Like we wanted to go to the library to check out a book, and book is very important entity, and the book has a couple of states. So the object is book. Talk about a book, right? Or a machine. So the machine, anything, the machine is is physical for us, for us, the user, to activate it, touch that by using remote controller or touch that directory, right? That's also an object, right? So it's an interactive machine, or the entity, right? Entity. So the single object from the time that it is created until it is destroyed. So generally, you can see that if we wanted to draw a state machine diagram, right? Generally, it may. Generally, right? That means we have some exception, right? Generally, it's going to be created until it is destroyed. All right. So here, from the time that it is created until it is destroyed, right? So my question is, if we wanted to draw a state machine, is it possible that without any beginning, without initiation? It says, it is created until it is destroyed. Is it possible that without any initiation? Shane?
I think it's possible
It is possible.
because I saw some diagram online and I saw like a washing machine. The off is just a state, not a start. Top power off, power on, and maybe it will some state change when the water level high, low, medium, or something. Decide on your decision.
Okay, good. So, yes, not every state machine has a initiation, right? Starters. No, right? Not everything. That's right. So Shane, give us a good example. Washing machine, you're not going to create this every time, right? So we start from a safe state. Usually safe state, right? It is up, right? For that, or or we have an elevator, right? You need to create this every time. So the beginning would be waiting, right? So it's waiting there, pending there, right? Waiting there until you touch that, right? So when you press, then change to different states. So this object could be a machine for interaction, right? We touch that, or we activate it by voice, right? Whatever, we can activate that, and it's going to change. Even a light, it's on, right? Turn it on and off. So if you turn it on and off, you wanted to describe these two, then we have two states. But if you wanted to add more states, like it's broken, right? So when it's off, you can turn it on. When it's broken, you cannot turn it on, right? So you can add different states, like if you wanted to set a theme, all right, a couple of level, It's not just on, right? So you have a couple level, but that's the level 1, level 2, and so brighter, right? But that's so the change of the states, right? So if it is the states on, you cannot turn it on again, right? It's up, you cannot turn it off again, right? So you can switch that on, off, or you have dim, right? So you got to have different kinds of state we care. So here, then we understand states and states has a relationship, right? So the state may change to other states, but usually it is easy to be confused between subclasses and states. Subclasses and states. So what do I mean that? You say, if I give you an example that's season. We know season, right? Season, we have spring, summer, autumn, or we call it fall, right? Winter. We have 4 seasons usually, 4 seasons. Tell me the relationship between 4 seasons and the season. Raise your hand. Season, spring, summer, fall, and winter. Relationship. Richard?
Is it a transition?
Transition? Yeah.
Transition.
Yeah, and what do you mean transition here? So we have
Transition.
season, right? Season,
From spring transit to spring
Summer?
transit to summer.
yeah, and
Summer transit to fall
yeah,
and
yeah,
fall.
but we don't say the transition, right? So what's the relationship of that season and so relationship between season?
The
Yeah, you're
relationship.
good to think about that. Spring, summer, or winter. Inheritance. Spring is a kind of season, right?
Yes.
Summer is a kind of season, and it's a kind of inheritance. Yes.
Inheritance from the season. But
So, season. Spring. Spring because the same. Summer. So we have that. Or autumn. Or winter. Right. So spring is a kind of season, of course. Relationship. Inheritance. It's hard. It's a relationship. It's hard. Raise your hand. All right. Don't think that inheritance is easy. Not that easy at all. What do you think? Yeah. Hmm? Aggregation. Aggregation. So pot. Right. Pot. So aggregation or composition. Aggregation. So aggregation could be aggregation. Spring is a part about aggregation. It could be aggregation. And other thing, just not inheritance. It's a kind of it. The spring is a kind of season, right? Or not? You said a kind of it. Part of it. So it's not a kind of it. Right? The spring is not a kind of season. Temperature? So this is not. So it's aggregation. Aggregation, not inheritance. So here it could be inheritance or aggregation. All right. So aggregation, part of it, part of it, part of it. So it could be spring, right? So suppose that's here. And give me another example. So as a college student, right? You are a college student. You know, college student. If you're a freshman, you understand freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. All right. Freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior. What's the relationship between this? Alex?
I think the freshman will be inheritance or a part of the college student, and the sophomore is maybe inheritance from the freshman, because the freshman then become the sophomore, then become the junior and the senior. So it's like a sequence or the step you begin transfer to another state or another role. Like a season, I think is the spring, and the first we begin on the spring, and then the temperature will change as the summer, maybe be high or even, and going to be fall and going to be winter, and this will be the cycle again and again.
So they are similar, right?
Yes.
They're similar. And what do you think about is inheritance or aggregation? Or
I will not draw like this way. I think the season, the spring is aggregation from the season or inheritance, but the last of the three is inheritance to the upper, like the summer inheritance from spring, and fall is inheritance from the summer, and winter inheritance from the fall.
so is it inheritance?
Yes, I think it's inheritance.
Why not is a part of it? Inheritance.
Sorry, can you pardon?
It says not aggregation.
I think it's not, but maybe it can be, but in my reason, I think is inheritance.
Okay, when we think about inheritance, so here, can we replace season as spring?
Yes,
Yes. So last time when we said that season wanted to new a spring, it's back that can replace that.
yes,
So Colorado, the child, right?
yes.
So the child, but calculation areas are different. So square cannot replace
Rectangle.
quadrilateral,
Yes.
right? And here, can spring, if we use inheritance, can spring replace season?
No.
So it's not inheritance,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
Here, freshman, can freshman replace college student?
I think no.
No. take out inheritance. Aggregation? So what do you think? Aggregation. You just said that's no, that is not aggregation. Why not? Anyone wanted to say that yes or no? Does anyone wanted to answer this? Okay, Shane.
I think maybe it's not a aggregation.
Why?
Maybe it's a composition.
Composition?
Yeah, but because every season, oh, sorry, I think
Correct. So, yeah.
I think
Yesterday-
spring, summer, or is a part of season, not a.
Yeah, part of it, right?
It is a part
It's
of it.
also part of it, right?
It's part of it.
And part of that, so it's a kind of this association, this aggregation.
Aggregation.
I don't prefer you to answer like aggregation. Why? It seems like aggregation. Or you seems like inheritance, right? It's a kind of that. I expect other. What do we talk? You know, we just talk about something. Yeah, it could be that, that's, you know. But I don't expect your answer that there's inheritance aggregation. I don't expect that. Do you have any better idea? Yeah, it's a good. So I don't expect you to do that. You still can, write a code like this, but it's better like a state. When I say state, remember I just said on can change to off, right? They have some connection. So we may set as an attribute or take it as a state class. When this happens, like a sub, like a part, like kinds of, but they have some relationship. It's just a sequence. All right, but here, not only situation like this, spring to summer to fall and winter, some of the states, a state may go to different. So we have but we gotta have a prefix. Summer comes after spring, right? But we have different kinds of states, other situation, right? So whatever state one, can go to state 3, go to state 5, but definitely cannot go to state 6 or the others. Sparking, we cannot go there. So state can change. Right? So if they have this kind of relationship, all right, it could be a simple one from freshman, sophomore, all right, and junior and senior. But remember that some situation, exceptional student came from freshman to junior. All right, can shorten their study period. All right, they can graduate in 3 years, right? So some of the situation they can skip that. So the state can go to other states when the trigger, to feel that, then you can change to others. So states you can change when when that happen, I don't expect you draw like this. All right. So states. It's very interesting, right? Okay. And inside the states, right, we might have entry, exits, or probably not. A state also a brief exit can go to the cell, right? Okay. So I provide the, you know, they get rated by yourself. That's also please refer to the diagram like I built that. This is a sequence diagram, right? Sequence diagram. Here, there's an instant sequence diagram, right? Like specialization. So if it's a general, there's a couple of scenario, right? And here, sequence diagram purchase tickets. You can see that the first one will be the interface. This interface could be a form, right? Because it's going to receive inputs, right? And here, if you see the diagram that is, it is analysis phase. When it's analysis phase, you can write whatever you want to show, like select departure and arrival state. Okay, then you draw a line. That is a simple message. When you draw a line to the receiver, the form, you got to make sure that a form can answer that. So you draw a line, then they become this. Should have a method. So it means the form has a method called select service. All right. So when you see this, it's already go to design phase because of your method, right? That's a method. When you do this, then the tool write the code for you. So when you select this, it means this object has the method. Get right. All right. So we can see their interaction, right? And you can give it a number, right? Number that's you can give it a number, right? And this is a communication and collaboration diagram. All right. So if you have a sequence diagram, then can be generated. The communication diagram can be generated automatically. Here is a rational rules. Is a tool, case tool. Activity diagram. This class diagram and state machine. So state machine here use flight as the object. This flight has many states, right? Here we can see tentative, right? The flight is a tentative because every flight is different, right? Tentative, it means not ready yet, right? So not scheduled yet. So store, we have the store. Tentative, right? I use the word to descriptive, right? So it's descriptive. So the tentative. So when we see that a flight is tentative, then we know that it's not scheduled yet. And go to scheduled. When approved flight schedule, go to scheduled flight. So you need to think, what about a state or an object? So the object scheduled. When we say scheduled, then we know what it means, right? And then when it's scheduled, it's open for booking, right? So open, then booking until last day is sold. You can full, right? And you can switch. so state can change, right? Not every state can change it to other states. Only part of it. So open become full, and go back to open. No. So if someone, that's well, is going to cancel the flight, cancel the seats, then the flight, flights open again, cancel that, open again, and somebody wanted to book, no, then full. The flight could be delayed. What happened? Good if it has some, the delay, close, or cancel, whatever. So that's use descriptive words to describe the states. Okay. Well, I think that's it for today, right? So we don't have enough time. But remember that after our midterm examination, we still have 3 hours to discuss the examples of sequence diagram and state machine, right? But your midterm examination will, include these parts, right? So, and I think so. I leave the time for TA. Probably wanted to announce something. Yeah.